Hey, how we doing? This is actually take two because I had some real loud noises happening. But it's been a while since I've done any videos. Been a longer time since I've done a review. I haven't had any product coming in, or I've just been too busy with work, that kind of stuff. But we're gonna review these two together because they kind of go hand in hand here. Kind of need one to do anything with the other. So we'll start with this one. This is a USB load tester. In here, you've got a trimmable pot. It's basically an adjustable resistor, and it looks like about a 30 to 40 millimeter fan to cool it. And of course, you got metal heat sinks. It's supposed to be a heat sink at least. There's no fins, obviously, but then on the back here we have your adjustable resistances or current settings. So here's your coarse adjustment knob. It doesn't do 180, so here let me swap over. See the little notch there on the bottom? That would be max resistance, and that's the least. So it's not really a 180 degree turn. It's close. Same thing over on the fine adjustment knob. It's the exact same turn. Okay? It's really all there is to this. This is it's got a little cogging to it, so it tells me that there's permanent magnets in there. Unfortunately, I can't tell you too much about the circuitry. I haven't actually looked at the circuitry. Yeah, it's going to be pretty simple though. And then the next one is this guy right here. It's a USB monitor, does a bunch of stuff. Security monitor. I wouldn't say it's security monitor, but here we go. We got the specs. There's the model if you want to look that up. It'll take 3 to 25 volts DC and take 0 to 5.1 amps. Never ever going that high, honestly. And plus or minus 1%, so it's fairly accurate. Green star, don't know what green star means. Operating temperature, so negative 10 to 60 degrees Celsius. You'll probably never get it within that, especially if you're running it with the USB load, because that means this will be under load, so it's generating heat, and it'll have a heat source right next to it, usually blowing heat onto it because of the fan there. So that's all there is to show without powering anything on. So we're going to use my NECTEC battery adapter here. So without plugging anything in, get this a little closer for you. There's your display. I bought the 6-in-1 model, I think it was 6. So we've got your voltage, 5.2 volts, showing this is 100% charged. 0 current right now because it's not powering anything. That's not this capacity. I was doing a test on a different power supply, but that just shows you it does a capacity test. So you'll attach a load to it, which is what this is for. And I'll explain. So you'll attach a load to it, and then it'll measure the time and what the load is and give you a milliamp hours, so current times time. So a lot of the newer, more advanced power supplies, if they're not detecting any current draw, will kill the power just to stop drainage. If the current isn't above a certain threshold, it'll kill power. So we've got the energy in watt hours, which is basically the conversion between milliamp hours and watt hours. It'll show the time that it was running for. This took 13 hours to complete the 6500 milliamp hour draw. Show you your current up here and the temperature. Alright, so this does have modes. We have a speaker up here. It'll beep at you for several different reasons, like when you plug it in. Hear that? Okay. It will also beep at you every time you double click. I'll show that in a second, but there it'll show voltage and amperage. the capacity in both milliamp hours and watt hours, the temperature, and then back to the screen. So if you want to clear the capacity, like you would finish doing your load test and you want to move on to another one, you double tap this button, so 1, 2, clears, and it'll beep. But it's not detecting a load, so I got to keep unplugging, plugging back in. Okay. If you want to clear the energy or watt hours, 3 clicks. 1, 2, 3. And time is 4 clicks. 1, 2, 3, 4. Alright. So that's cleared. There are a few other things you can do with this by different combinations of pressing, holding, that kind of thing. But those are the really important ones. So this does have built-in low voltage protection if it gets below, I think, like 3.5 volts. I think I don't remember what it is, but I think it's like 3.5 volts. It will cut power. It'll beep at you like crazy, cut power, and so it won't be damaging your power supply, which is good. But show you what happens here. So we'll plug the load tester and that in. The load tester has a little LED here to show you it's plugged in and powered. So I'll crank up the fine adjustment knob. You'll see the fine adjustment knob. Or is that coarse? That is coarse. I mix those up. So this is coarse, this is fine. My bad. It does say on the board, fin for fine. Does not say coarse for the other side, but there's that. This is fine. So let me redo that test. So we'll crank up the fine adjustment knob to its max. That is as far as it can go, and it's right about 15 milliamps. No, 150 milliamps. There we go. Or 0.15 amps. Okay. When this gets warm enough, which it won't at that low of an amperage, the ambient air moving around it is enough to cool it. This fan will turn on, so I'll show you that. And we'll go as high as this coarse adjustment knob will go. 3.6 amps. I'll turn this down. Oh, there we go. We got the fan kicking on because I just drew a bunch of power. Now I want to show down here, it says the output 3.4 amp max, and we just put out 3.6. So that's one thing. I really like this neck tech, but that just shows that they put in a little bit of safe factor, a little fudge factor. So it will output more than 3.4 amps, but you won't ever really need that. So when I do a load test, I'm always, oh, dang it, I missed it. It auto powered off. Whenever I do a capacity test, not load test, sorry, I will crank up to right around an amp. So I'll get pretty close with the coarse and then finish it off with the fine. There we go. We're at about an amp. And then I'll just leave it there, and it'll count up the capacity. I'll show you that capacity does change and the watt hours change. It's even counting down here. So you see the watt hours changed, and there's capacity changing, and then the fan kicks in. At an amp, I've learned that when the fan does kick in, it will ramp up real fast. Let me change back to different mode. It will ramp up, and then after it's gone through its initial cooling and startup, it'll sit there right above idle. There's my food finished, and just burp. Just enough to keep the temps down. And change back now. I've had this running 2 amps because I was short on time, and the temperature never got above 35 degrees Celsius. The fan was going nuts, and I had this in my room with my computer running, and my computer keeps the room 700 degrees Fahrenheit. I know, two different temperature values there, but I had it running, had my computer running, it was 70 degrees Fahrenheit in the room, and had this running at 2 amps, and it never got above 35 degrees. I then moved it out of my room and into my bathroom, which was much, much cooler, and it dropped down to 30 degrees Celsius. So this fan does a good job of keeping it cool. You can play with the fan a little bit because it's not guarded on the top. But so that's that. Unplug this. Now I was seeing this 6-in-1 was running like $18, I think, for the 6-in-1, but you can get one that just does capacity, voltage, and amperage. I think that's what it does. It was like $6. So I went for the better one just because it had more features, and I wanted the 6-in-1 screen. It wasn't needed. You can totally go with the cheaper one. You won't be gaining or losing much. It's just easier to use this one. Now the load tester, there is one, so there's a couple. There's a load tester that has a fixed resistance. It's got 2 big resistors on it, and that was like, again, $6. Then there was one that had the adjustable knobs, not like these. It had 2 small knobs up here with no fan, so that one didn't get very hot. And then there's this one, and the one with no fan but still had the adjustments, I think was like $12, and then this one was about $18 again. So you're looking at about $40 for both of these, but that's only if you really, really want to load test or capacity test your battery supplies there, which I do since I do reviews. See, USB electronic load device. Since I do reviews, it's useful for me to have. I can review my power supplies, that kind of thing. There we go. Now you can see it's got fine, coarse, min-max on the bottom of the board. On the top as well, it has fine, but no coarse on the top. That's really going to conclude this one. There isn't much to talk about other than what I've already done. I will have another video coming out with where I go back and re-show all of my battery backups, or backup batteries, however you want to say it. Battery banks, power banks, whatever. Power banks. We'll go with power banks. I'll be showing all those, show what their actual capacities are. I had this one, I had the capacity written on this one, but it seems to have rubbed off. So we'll have to deal with that. So yeah, also got another camera coming on the way, so I won't be using this super cheap Chinese one for everything. I'll probably still use it for some things, just because, if I don't want to pull out the bigger one, but the other one should have manual focus. It's a very, very nice camera. I picked it up used because not made of money quite yet. But that'll be it. Links to these will be down in the description there, and I'll see you guys in the next one.